the immediate past Alaafin, ìyẹn Alaafin tó ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ gbéṣẹ̀, Ọba Lamidi Atanda Olaiwola Adeyemi III, lived an accomplished life, encapsulating his life, his style, his achievement as a monarch, and the length of his reign. In a rare situation, even during the days of his forebears, the days of his forefathers, we've had great men rule Oyo land and Oyo Empire. But how many of them have lived this long? And how many of them have retained the level of respect that the late Alaafin Lamidi Adeyemi III commands? And I think his panache, his love for culture, and the respect he commands or he commanded during his days all boils down to the condition that dethroned his father before Alaafin Bello Gbadegesin Ladigbolu II was enthroned. So all in all, the best I can say is the Alaafin lived a good life. Of course, we can't say he was perfect, no. But the person of the Alaafin commanded so much respect that even when you don't like him, you dare not say it in his presence. How many kings in Yoruba land today can we point to that command that kind of respect? All in all, I can say that Alaafin, the passing of Alaafin Oba Lamidi Adeyemi III marked the end of a league of refined Oba in Yoruba land. People that were enthroned as Oba, people who gained the position as Oba, and they realized what they went into as the custodian of Yoruba culture. You know, we have Oba and we have Obas. You can't compare the league of the Alaafin and the Oni to some certain Oba. Of course, here and there, civilization plays an important role in everything in Yoruba land these days. And we saw that coming into play during the burial of the immediate past Alaafin, the same Alaafin we are talking about. But that doesn't mean that the man never commanded respect. He lived a thorough life. He lived a life that I know the people of Oyo will be praying that the next Alaafin should also be as great or even greater than the immediate past Alaafin. Well, selecting the next Alaafin shouldn't be an issue. Shouldn't be an issue for one reason. The process of selecting an Alaafin is as easy as that of selecting an Olubadan. Why? I will explain. The Olubadan on the throne presently, there is a next in command to him, and we know too well that immediately the Olubadan passes on, the next in command comes into the space, the empty throne. Almost the same thing with the Alaafin. There was a declaration in 1957, the 1957 declaration, which is what brought the late Alaafin himself. Only 2 ruling houses are recognized in that declaration. The Alowolodu ruling house that produced Alaafin Adeyemi. Alowolodu ruling house produced Alaafin Adeyemi Alowolodu the first. Produced Alhaji Raji Adeniran Adeyemi the second, father of the late Alaafin Adeyemi the third. The second ruling house is the Agunloye. Agunloye produced Shianbola Onikepe Ladigbolu and Bello Gbadegesin Ladigbolu the second. So if you follow the historical trajectory, you come to realize that it was an Adeyemi followed by Ladigbolu, followed by Adeyemi, followed by Ladigbolu, followed by Adeyemi. I don't know what the restrictions are when it comes to contesting the empty throne of the Alaafin. Now, 2 things are involved. It is either the case that once the immediate past Alaafin is from Alowolodu ruling house, which is Adeyemi, I don't know if they still have the right to contest the throne, or they leave it entirely to the Agunloye ruling house, which is popularly known as Ladigbolu, to produce the next Alaafin. Then they'll be the ones to rally around their own princes. But there are basically two ruling houses, according to the declaration of 1957. But according to history, there are other people, other families, or let me say other compounds in Oyo that are also entitled to the throne by birth, but were not captured as such in the 1957 declaration. You know that coming into this present Oyo, Atiba was the first Alaafin, son of Alaafin Abiodun in Old Oyo. Are you getting the point? Before Alaafin Abiodun, we had other Alaafin, previous Alaafin before Abiodun. Their offsprings, their family members, their own princes also live in this present Oyo. So they are entitled to the throne. I mentioned Baba Iyaji earlier. Your application to the throne, to the empty throne of the Alaafin, goes to the Baba Iyaji. Baba Iyaji is the head of princes. They are also entitled to the throne, but they have been given the title of Baba Iyaji, formerly Mogaji Yaji. But the Baba Iyaji is the first person that will review every application. He will use his own discretion to streamline some people. Okay, let this person go. Let this person go. Let this person go. Then he now passes on where probably he's been given 30 applications. From those 30, probably he feels these 10 are the best for now. He'll pass them on to the Oyomesi on one condition. If the next ruling house, that is the ruling house that is supposed to produce the next prince, can agree amongst themselves that, okay, let Prince Adekunle go, let Prince Adeshola go. Okay, we are choosing Prince Adekunmi. Do you understand? But if there's a scuffle within the family, almost what we are having now, and I will explain. If there's a scuffle within the family, for example, the Agunoye family, then Baba Iyaji will have no choice than to invite the Oyomesi for them to settle it. And of course, the place of Ifa is very important, because at the end of the day, out of 10, divination will be carried out. Ifa will be consulted. Ibabala will be invited by the Oyomesi. Out of 10, Ifa will not choose one. Ifa will choose like 3. So Ifa will not choose one out of 10. You know, I said earlier that Baba Iyaji receives the application, not the Oyomesi. You understand? Now Baba Iyaji will streamline them. Of course, you should expect as much as 50 people interested in the throne of the Alaafin. Is not just anyone. People look forward to it. Well, I mentioned the Baba Iyaji. So if you're asking me who the Baba Iyaji is, let me try as much as possible to put it in historical perspective. You know, I said that Atiba founded this present Oyo, and it was called Agodo Oyo, later Oyo Atiba, now Oyo. Now Atiba, son of Alaafin Abiodun, who reigned in Old Oyo, Atiba didn't come alone when he was coming to this present Oyo. He lived here as a prince. You know that they don't bring them up in the palace in those days. If you are a prince, they'll take you somewhere else. So at least you learn something while growing up as well. So he lived at this present place called Agoja back then. So when the issue of Old Oyo Empire came and the whole thing crashed, history has it that Atiba actually connived with some warriors to see the end of the Alaafin that preceded him, his predecessor. So when people of Old Oyo were traveling down to resettle after they lost the war against the Fulani, what happened was that an older sibling of Atiba, you know, Alaafin Abiodun, according to history, gave birth to many children, of which there's one among them that is way older than Atiba. His name was Tella. So Tella also came down to this present Oyo. You understand? When it was time for them to elect a new Alaafin, okay, fine, Old Oyo fell. We have now resettled. We need another leader. That is supposed to be the case. They consulted Atiba. Atiba said, no, my older brother is somewhere. Go and meet him. Let him become the Alaafin. The man said, Tella. That was Tella. Tella now said, see, you all know that I'm old. The difference between myself and Atiba is not one of older sibling to the younger one. The age difference is almost like I'm your father. You understand? So give it to my younger brother Atiba. He's younger, he's more exposed, he's been to wars, so he can defend the Oyo country. So Tella asked them to consult with Atiba if he is interested in becoming the Alaafin. Atiba was already, he was interested, but he didn't want to be rude. You know the way we do things. How can you come to me that I will become the Alaafin? Go and meet my older brother. The man also knew that, see, this man is only trying to be respectful. Give it to him. Atiba agreed. He accepted to become the next Alaafin. And Tella also gave his word that, see, whenever you need advice of any form, come to me. I'll be with you. I'm behind you. So you know that Tella is also entitled to the throne. So when Atiba became Alaafin, he said no, his brother can't just be just a random citizen. More like me saying, Egbomi, enye lo mu igun beyen, ẹ̀yin lè máa jẹ Magaji Iyaji. So Tela became the first Magaji Iyaji, which is Baba Iyaji now. So every Baba Iyaji is also a prince. And after the Alaafin, the head of all princes is Baba Iyaji. They are about 5 or 6 in number. As I said, Baba Iyaji is the head. He is followed by Onaishokun, who is followed by Olusami. Then we have Arole Oba. Then we have Agunpopo, the one they popularly call Angpopo. After Agunpopo, we have Atingisi. So those are the princes, about 5 or 6 of them. How many did I mention? 5, 6, there about. So those are the princes, and Baba Iyaji is the head of all of them. Now, if you go to Yaji, Yaji in present Oyo, Baba Iyaji also have a special cemetery where they are buried, just like Bara for the Alaafin. You don't just bury them. And Baba Iyaji does not prostrate to any king except the Alaafin. Why? Because they are also entitled to the throne of the Alaafin. So you come to realize that it is those that are supposed to wear the crown of the Alaafin are not just offsprings of Alaafin Atiba or Ladigbolu or Adeyemi, but according to the 1957 declaration, that is what we have, just 2 ruling houses. Alowolodu, where the Adeyemi, the 3 Adeyemi form, and Agunloye, where we've had Ladigbolu. Now the problem is that Agunloye ruling house also have some form of subdivision. Subdivision in the sense that we have those that are calling themselves Owade. We have those that are calling themselves Gbadegesin. Whatever the case is, if truly it is the turn of Agunloye ruling house, whoever produces the next Alaafin, be it Owade or Gbadegesin, that person will be Ladigbolu as well. So it will never be the case that we will have, because if we now have Owade as the next Alaafin, we will have the Owade first. Now, Aremo Owade was Aremo to Alaafin Shiyanbola Ladigbolu. You understand? So that ruling house is well recognized. If Owade says they want to become the Alaafin, it is legitimate. They can wear the crown, they can sit on the throne, and nothing will happen. Unlike you and I, if we say we want to become the Alaafin, people can raise eyebrows. Are you a prince? Who are you? But you can't say that to the Owade family or to the Owade, caucus between the Agunloye ruling house. But if we are going to have an Owade, Alaafin Owade now, it will be Owade 1. But if we are going to have, if someone is claiming that there's a Gbadegesin somewhere, it will be Gbadegesin 2. If that person is coming as Ladigbolu, it will be Ladigbolu 3. You understand? So just 2 ruling houses, and there's nothing we can do outside that declaration, except if something has happened behind closed doors that we still don't know about, which I don't think Alaafin Adeyemi 3 would have done. If Alaafin Adeyemi 3 wanted to tamper with that declaration of 1957, he would do it in the open with his kind of person, with his kind of fearlessness. The way he talks, we know he will do that kind of thing in the open. So standing on that now, if Owade wants to become the Alaafin, it is legitimate. Nobody should say it's a foul cry. It is not a foul cry. But is it captured in that declaration? If it is not, then they follow the Agunloye. Whoever the Agunloye ruling house presents becomes the Alaafin. On the other hand, if the law and tradition permits Adeyemi to also contest, pending the fact that the last Alaafin is Adeyemi, it doesn't matter that your father is the last Alaafin. Atiba was Alaafin, and his son Adelui, popularly known as Adelu, became Alaafin after Atiba. So it has happened before. Don't be surprised if the next Alaafin is still Adeyemi. It can happen. Lawani Agogo Ija was Alaafin. Shiyanbola Ladigbolu was Alaafin. It's I mean, all these questions that you're asking me, it's bordering on the fact that there's an Owade now, and people are surprised. It's legitimate, they can be Alaafin, but I think that they have to stick with the Agunloye ruling house, because only 2 ruling houses are recognized for now. And if they want to open it up, then they are giving room to people like the Yaji to contest. Yaji can also come in and say, we are no longer interested in Baba Iyaji, please, we want to become Alaafin. It's possible. Offsprings of Tela, who happen to be a prince, son of Alaafin Abiodun. You understand? Atingisi can contest. There are other princes too, who can also contest. People who left old Oyo and settled in this present Oyo. Tela was son of Alaafin Abiodun. You understand? We also have the Olusami, offspring of Alaafin Oluaso. So these are people who can contest the throne. Contesting the throne is not as easy as we think it is, because there's a declaration that streamlines them to 2. So if you are following those 2, I said it the other time that it's simple if you are following those 2. Like I said earlier, it begins with the Baba Iyaji. So the Baba Iyaji will be the chief as the head of all princes. The Baba Iyaji takes charge of the coronation process. The Baba Iyaji is at the beginning and at the concluding part of the coronation of the Alaafin. So to begin with, there is a period of, to simplify it, I'll call it, seclusion, the one we call Ikpebi, where the Alaafin will run through certain rites, where the Alaafin will also be fortified, at least to a certain degree that befits the throne. As at that very point in time, different kind of advices. You are now husband to the witch. You are now husband to the wizard. You are now husband to the traditionalist. You are now husband to the Christian, to the Muslim. You have to learn to tolerate everyone. That is the first step at the seclusion. Now, that step is followed by, from the baby, the first person that will touch the Alaafin and that the Alaafin will prostrate to is the Baba Iyaji. He's the one that will place the akoko leaf on the Alaafin to be. That person is not yet the Alaafin. It's the Alaafin to be. The prince is still a prince. After Baba Iyaji places the akoko leaf on the person's head, what we now have is that the prince will now prostrate to the Baba Iyaji for the last time. If you remember, I said that Tella, the first Baba Iyaji, was older brother to Atiba. So he deserves that last respect before the man is crowned as the Alaafin. From the Yaji court, the would-be Alaafin will now move to Onoishokun, second in command to Baba Iyaji. The Onoishokun will also perform his own rites. After that, the Alaafin will move to Mogba. You know Mogba. Mogba is the priest in charge of the Shango divinity. The Alaafin will also perform certain rites there. That is what the third step. Now, that is followed by the rites at Ilemole. The Alaafin will also go to Ilemole to perform certain rites. Or the Alaafin to be, point of correction, the Alaafin to be. Yes. During this process, anything that happens, they won't say so thing happened to the Alaafin. It happened to the prince, Alaafin to be. So they go to Ilemole. Followed by Ilemole, the process at Ilemole, the Alaafin is now qualified to be accompanied by Mogba, the head of Shango devotees, and some other traditionalists to the royal cemetery, Bara. At Bara, they will show the Alaafin, if you are from the Alowolodu ruling house, this is where so person slept. This is where so person slept. This is where so person slept. This is so person. This is so person. This is so person. And he's going to pay homage, perform the necessary rites. After that day, that should be the last time the Alaafin will ever set his eyes on Bara. In fact, not even the gate of Bara. It's not just the case that the Alaafin cannot visit Bara. You cannot sight the place at all. If in a very tight circumstance, the Alaafin must pass through Bara, he must be blindfolded. They don't get to Bara. And that is why late Alaafin Adeyemi, people, I saw some posts saying that he never visited the Igbo Oba, the royal forest at Igbo. That place was Bara, where Ajiboyede, Abipa, Oronpoto and Co were buried. He has no right to go there. Culturally, he just can't. It's as good as saying, why didn't Alaafin visit Bara in Oyo? It's not possible. So after the visit to the Bara, the next step is the Calabash process. The popular one we see in movies is part of the coronation process of the Alaafin. They place different calabash with different items in them. Money, honey, salt, something bitter, something bad. If you pick money, that signifies economic progress during the reign of the Alaafin. So that is when they predict what the Alaafin, the incoming Alaafin, what his reign will look like to the people. If he picks honey, it signifies all-round goodness to the people. But if it's something bad, which is rare, because they must have made consultation with an Ifa priest, who will now streamline out of 10 to like 3. So how come one of those 3 will now pick something bad again? Of course, politics can come in. What if they place 10 calabash and none of the calabashes contain anything good? You understand what I'm trying to say? But it is rare. Just that it varies. Some will pick honey, ogbegba oyin. Some will pick money, ogbegba owo, salt. Good things. And it shows that, okay, this is where his reign, this is how his reign will be tailored. So after the calabash process, the next step is for the Alaafin to now become Alaafin. The Alaafin to now become Alaafin for the first time stepping into the palace. So this is how it works. The Alaafin, for the first time stepping into the palace, will not enter through the palace gates. Instead, they will make a hole, a big hole around the fence, somewhere around the fence. Baba Iyaji will go through that hole first before the Alaafin. Are you getting it? Yes. He will now receive the prince. That is when you become Alaafin. But prior to that, at Mogba's place, that is where they crown the Alaafin for the first time. The step before Bara is where they will place Korimagbofo, not the ancient traditional crown yet, just something to cover his head. Because you know, from then on, he can no longer bear his head the way I would. Let me pull off my cap. There's no Yoruba king, no ancient Yoruba king that should do that. Your head can't be bare. At least you have to bear something at every point in time. So, after the Baba Iyaji steps into the palace through that hole, he now receives the prince. Then
which is the Alaafin
to be, yes, the incoming Alaafin. Everybody can now prostrate and say, Kabiyesi, he has successfully completed the process of coronation. That is when he now steps into the palace to go and complete every other thing that is necessary in the palace. Because there are divinities in the palace that he will have to pay homage to as well. There's Onomiyan, there's Oduduwa, and Ka Oduduwa is somewhere in Baba Iyaji's court. So the process goes on and on and on and on. In fact, when you become Alaafin and the governor gives you the staff of office, you continue the process. It's not an issue of I'm no longer a Shango devotee. What is on? No, you continue the process. So the hole the hole they made through the fence for Baba Iyaji to go in and receive the Alaafin at the first time. Do you know what they do with it? They will cover it. They will leave it for a while. They will cover it. When the Alaafin dies, if he dies in the palace, they won't take his corpse to Bara through the gates. They reopen that hole and take him out through that place. So the next time you visit Bara as the Alaafin is when he goes through that hole again to Bara to go and rest. As at that very point in time, they will now cover the hole completely. That marks the beginning and the end of an Alaafin. So it's as simple as that.